Welcome to episode 1 of the podcast. I'm here today with EJ of EJ Trains, and in today's episode, we answer your live caller questions about things like, should I wear Aero socks on the group ride? What was your first FTP? And we also dive into EJ's beef with Jesse Coyle at the start of his cycling career. Let's go. All right, well, EJ, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is a pleasure. We're doing our Los Angeles rounds, as my wife Alyssa and I call it, where whenever we're in SoCal, we like to see you, the Bros Ride Bikes kids, sometimes some of the Legion guys, just kind of, make sure we are still saying hi to everyone in our SoCal circle. So thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course. You're the first guest. I'm glad I was at the first on that list as well.
Yeah. No, of course. You're number one. People know that.
Well, let's start off. I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
What's more difficult, being a Cat 1 cyclist or a YouTuber?
Oh, man. There's a crossover between both, which is burnout. Like, there's incredible... you can easily dig yourself into such a hole being a cyclist, both physically and mentally with training, etc. And then the same goes with YouTube, editing, trying to grind the numbers, especially for like a growing audience and niche that we're in. For me personally, YouTube is probably the harder of the two, just to stay on top of. And I think also at the end of the day, just to be fully transparent, that's what pays the bills.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So to have the aspect of money be part of it, for me, for you, for other people that do YouTube full time, that is probably the most difficult deciding factor of it. Like a lot of the times I can kind of compartmentalize it and not think about that side, because I'm very, very blessed to be where I'm at. You can say the same. We've both gotten our content to the point where, it's rolling, it's doing well, it brings in revenue, and like there's still a lot of things you have to do to keep that rolling, in order to keep that going, but it's already rolling at this point. I feel like when I was first starting off, it was so much more stressful. I remember calling Mitch actually, because him and I talk about YouTube all the time. Like, you're my go-to YouTube guy. I don't know if you guys know that. Mitch is like you're like a YouTube guru, so it's awesome. But I remember calling you when I was first starting out. I was like, when should I make the switch to full-time? Like, that was probably one of the hardest decisions of which avenue to go down, etc. Cycling, on the other hand, it is kind of nice because you know what to do. I have a coach lined it out for me. Sometimes it sucks to do, like training can be hard, but at least you know what to do. Racing is a tough like thing in general. Like, it's going to be hard on your body. It's going to be a mental battle no matter what. But I also get to take a step back from that and realize that's not like, I'm not a professional cyclist, so that's not what pays the bills at the end of the day. So if I have a shit race, I can go back and be like, well, at least it's good content. And then I can take that avenue and it kind of takes that stress off it. So to answer your question, long story short, I would say YouTube.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You say you're not a racer, you're not that good, but I don't know. I remember watching as you started out, you started working as an editor for NorCal Cycling, right? Yes. And got into cycling that way. And because of that, the videos you were producing then were viewed by the whole cycling YouTube community. I remember specifically a video, Jesse Coyle did a reaction video of you because you had set a goal.
That's a deep cut, yeah.
You set a goal on what you wanted your FTP to be at a certain time.
Yeah.
And from what I remember in the video, he was like, there's no way this guy is going to get to this point. And I'm curious to hear, what was it like for you to watch that video? Because I assume you watched it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How did that affect you and your training? How did that affect your mindset? Or did it at all?
That is a deep cut for sure. That's kind of back in the early stages. I'm going to preface this. I didn't really have much of a clue. I talked about this on a podcast I did for First Endurance actually last week. So funny that you bring this up. I came into the sport with a little bit of an ego. I'm just going to fully admit that. I'll put that out there on camera. I said that on the last podcast I did. And I think that definitely played into how I came across in my early videos. I was trying to prove something. I felt like I had someone to prove. I felt like I knew everything. I was like, oh man, I could easily do this, etc. In reality, it was freaking hard, right? And the goal for you guys that don't know, I think I said I was going to double my FTP in a year.
Which I just have to say, that's crazy. I've never doubled my FTP even from when I started.
Yeah.
That's an insane goal.
And again, I will also preface this one more time. My first FTP that I ever recorded, I think was, I have it on, I want it 192 or something like that. I don't quite know the accuracy of that. It was in Jeff's garage, Jeff NorCal Cycling. It was hot. There was no fan. I was overweight. So I feel like I didn't quite know how to push myself then. You know what I mean? Like when you very first take an FTP test, I feel like it is significantly lower because you just simply don't know what your body's capable of. Like realistically, you could probably go like 20, 30, 40 watts more. If it's your very, very first time on a bike ever, you just don't know how to push like that, right?
Yeah.
So that was my starting number. Once I quickly started training and was getting coached by Jackson Duncan at the time, who I met him in January of 2022. He started coaching me and I was seeing gains really, really quickly. So I like put a YouTube video out. I was like, oh man, maybe I could double my FTP because it went from 192 to 260 to 310 to 320 to 340 by February of 2022. It's 2023. February of 2023. I started cycling in late 2022 for you guys that don't know. And I was losing weight at the same time. So it was like compounding on itself. So my goal was to get to 380 in under a year. And I did end up doing it. But to answer your question, the video definitely, I saw it at the time. I took it with kind of the ego that I was talking about. I was like, well, screw this guy. I can do this. Blah, blah, blah. But looking back at it now, knowing what I know, if someone said that, I would look at it and be like, I would totally have his take, I guess is what I'm saying. So I can see how it came off a little bit as rash on my part. And his video was pretty like aggressive of poking holes in the theory and everything. And also I want to say this on air. Some of the timeline that was put out by NorCal Cycling and I was slightly skewed in order to align with content. And that's just how YouTube and social media works. You can't always believe everything you see because content has timelines. The timelines have to add up. At the end of the day, we're making a story. I would say 97 to 8% of what I put out is pretty real in real time, but you can attest to this. There's slight adjustments that you make to the story or in editing or how you edit it or how you pitch or how you want something to be perceived in order to make that make a little bit more sense. So that also played into it. I'm kind of glad that part is over with. I can't lie, where like, we were releasing a masterclass at the time that was supposed to be scheduled with my training and all this stuff. So everything had to overlap. So we had to like make sure the dates were perfect. I had to hide power and do all this weird stuff. Just was a little bit of a headache. So I'm glad it's kind of all out there. Now that I'm on my channel on my own, for you guys that don't know, EJ's training camp. I try to keep everything pretty real time and out there in public. Makes it a little bit easier.
Nice little plug there. Go subscribe to EJ's
subscribe. Thank you so much.
What you were saying about timing and YouTube videos, like 97% is pretty. Mine are like all over the place. I have a video right now that I shot in July.
Yeah.
And it is almost December.
Which we're looking forward to.
We're looking forward to. One of your friends, Sean, came with me. Crazy video. Luckily, I don't have the power numbers for it to really matter. I don't have to be like, oh, I'm not going to like show my power on Strava or anything like that. Your like FTP is like my 5-minute power.
I don't know about that. I am also heavier, and I do want to preface, I say this on video all the time. Mitch always says his power numbers aren't great. This guy's minute power is up there with some of the best I've seen. So I want that to be on record. Leave that in the cut. Don't cut that out. I'll find you if you do, and I'll take this and post it on my Instagram. But whenever he says his power isn't good, I always remind him he has an insane 1-minute power. So
thanks, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. So what are your goals now? Like YouTube's kind of chugging along.
Yeah.
You've been training as a cyclist now for how many years?
This is going on 3.
Year 3.
Which is, we're on, because the end of year 2 will be this year, and then going into year 3 will be January 2025, which is crazy. Goals for next year. Everything is shifting in a different direction. I joined a team, posted on my Instagram. That's all public. Posted a YouTube video. Super, super stoked to be working with this team. Pacific Office Automation for y'all that don't follow me. And it is definitely going to be a step up for me. I was on a team early on in my career, the Velo Kings, but it was kind of more like a club team. It was just fun, like Cat 4 through Cat 3, rode with them, and it was kind of more just like hanging out with friends. This will be a step up to, I would say, like the first official team where it's everything's backed by sponsors, money's involved, etc. You know, we have a lot of riders from the New Zealand, Australia area. So shout out to you that are watching from there that are incredibly strong. Like, I mean, I'm going to be working as a domestique this year for them, which will be really, really fun. So my goal is to get those guys to the climbs, drop them off, and then fall out the back and let them do their thing. And then I'll be, you know, sprinting for the team as well at crits and stuff like that. I'm really excited about this. You could probably touch on this, to grow content around a bunch of different people, which is what I've been doing. It's really, really helped me avoid the burnout that we talked about earlier, where it's not all focused on me. I think it'll be super helpful to go to races, especially like road races, where, again, for you guys that don't watch my content, I'm a heavier rider. I'm a sprinter. At a road race with a climb that's over 5 minutes, at a Cat 1 to pro level, I'm going to get dropped. That's just how it goes. You know, physiologically, unfortunately, there's not much I can do about that. So I think it'll be really nice to this year be able to go to those road races, go to the bigger road races, you know, like Redlands, for example, which is like probably the biggest stage race in the U.S. happens in April, just south of us here. I think it is a UCI race, so lots of, you know, really, really solid, like pro level talent there. Be able to go there, actually race, and make a difference by, you know, working for my teammates, getting them to the climbs, etc., or having, you know, trying to do well in the crit there. I think the content around that is what I'm most excited for, where it's not just the same story of, okay, EJ goes to a road race and gets dropped. Like, I've told that story a couple times, and I think it's, I'm a little bit tired of telling that. So ready to have EJ goes to this race and gets Cam to the climb, and then Cam gets 6th or 5th or 4th or maybe even wins. You know, like that's a really cool story to tell, and be able to tell that with the giving those, you know, personalities on my team, like, shine light on them, is going to be really fun. So I'm excited for that.
That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. I've noticed a similar thing in my content, where the more I shine light on other people, the more enjoyable it is for me, and also the easier it is to tell a story.
Oh, 110%.
And so, like, going and doing Steep Streets with you and with Coyle was really great. Sean in this video that I need to actually get out. But even, like, I went to Pittsburgh last year and did this race and interviewed the person who created the race. And he has such an amazing story of, like, perseverance. And it's just nice to put the spotlight on other people. It's really hard as a YouTuber sometimes to always, like, have a camera pointed at you and, like, deliver something interesting.
Which is, I think, I learned this from... So my background was I worked in the golf industry. Golf YouTube was where I started everything, for you guys that don't know. And I was editing golf videos for this channel by the name of Good. The kid who heads Good, Garrett, or GM Golf, is one of, like, the smartest kids when it comes to telling a story and retention. And he gave me a really, really good piece of advice for when I started this out, and that's characters. I think you can touch on this. Telling a story about just yourself, like an autobiography, is only going to work for so long, right? Having characters, even in an autobiography, there's characters, you know? So having characters and being able to develop those characters only will broaden your audience, especially on YouTube, because more people can relate to, you know, those characters. You have an opportunity to grow a bigger audience, which at the end of the day is what we want, because that's going to continue to grow the business, etc. So having more characters and having development of those characters gives more people an opportunity to connect with your content. Even if they, like, you know, they like you, but they don't necessarily, they're not able to completely relate with you, but say, pardon me, guy B over here is more relatable for them. They're going to watch your content more and more, the more that you have guy B in there. And then eventually they might, you know, translate over to watching your content a little bit more and more. And then it kind of snowballs from there. So I thought that was, like, a really good piece of advice for anyone that wants to start up YouTube. I think that is huge.
So you've mentioned Burnout 2 times now.
Twice.
Why is that?
Because I've personally experienced it. I know personally you've experienced it.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, because I think it's very real in, like I said when we started this podcast, both of the things that we are doing, cycling and YouTube. It's so easy because it can be so life consuming on both ends. And for me, I hit a major wall when I, like I just talked about, was editing for Good and doing that golf YouTube grind. The way the structure works, you're paid per video, right? We had an amazing opportunity. I was very thankful for it, to edit an incredible amount of golf YouTube content, to the point where my business partner and I at the time were able to, each work about 100 to 110 hours a week. But at that cost, you're
That's
sleeping
insane.
like 2 hours a night and you wake up, edit some more, etc. And all you're doing is editing. And then you take a week off, recuperate, hang out with my wife, amazing wife, and then back to the grind. And that was a really, really cool opportunity. And again, I will always say I'm very thankful for it. But doing that, you can only last so long. And especially editing, sitting in front of a computer all day. That's the reason I even got really overweight in the first place. Put on like close to 100 pounds after I got out of college, because we were just sitting there editing. We ordered DoorDash, etc. But like I said, you're getting paid per video. So the grind was awesome. Financially, it was amazing. But how long can you do that, right? So made it about a year, hit a huge burnout wall. That was kind of my first experience of being like, oh, whoa, okay, that's very real. Like, that's what that feels like. I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't want to even like touch a YouTube video. I didn't want to edit, even though it was one of my passions going into that. Long story short, transitions to doing stuff on my own for my own channel, and found a new passion for it again. But even that, like, again, you can attest to, there's certain periods where like people don't understand what goes into training 20 hours a week like I do, and then also posting 1 to 2 times a week. Like, it's still a solid like 60-ish hours of work a week. I got to give a shout out to my amazing wife, who is out there in the other room right now. She's made it, like, she's been with me through all of this. So shout out to Alyssa. Behind the scenes, she handles our bookkeeping, which is a whole mess in itself. And then she's, does all my filming, shoots all my photos, etc., which really, really helps. And then she also handles all the traveling for our team this year and for me. So that's like another weight off my shoulder. So without her and her support, I would not be able to do all of this. And I will stand by that. So that's been a huge help in me finding a way to not get burnt out. And then also when I was working in the golf industry, me and my business partner, we were doing everything. And it was pretty strenuous on a nice relationship, because we'd be flying around the world for 1 to 2 months on end filming golf content. Like, we'd go from Oregon to LA to Texas we went over to Dubai, and then like traveled around Europe, and then like come back, and it's like, how do you have a relationship with that, right? You're never home. So having her be attached to what we're doing now is so much nicer, because she gets written into every contract that we sign with a company that sends us somewhere. So she's always with me, traveling with me, and it's just been a blast. And I think realizing that and understanding that, I need my people there, really helps with the burnout aspect.
That's great. So she's like basically your business manager now.
Exactly.
It sounds like she's written into the contracts and everything.
Yeah.
That's really nice to have a support system.
Oh, 110%. And then also there is that little loophole that, I write her in as a professional videographer and photographer. So we're usually able to kind of boost the income, saying, hey, we have a professional photographer on board. We'll, extra X amount of money, and we'll give you all the professional assets. And that kind of, helps tie the whole business together as well.
You're like, oh, I ride 20 hours a week, and then I edit videos. I'm like, man, I ride like maybe like 6 to 10 hours a week.
Well, it does help that my content is very, like, I envy you, because my content is extremely performance based at this point, where it's like a lot of it is about EJ trains, EJ red bike at the end of the day, right? Yeah. EJ red bike, do some stuff hard. That's what people want to see. I love riding. At the end of the day, I love being like fit, fast. Like, I like training a lot. So it's like, that's not the hard part for me. The hard part is everything else, like the editing's not too bad. I've kind of found a passion for that again, which luckily I'm glad. Like I said, I dealt with that burnout, because if I couldn't edit, none of this would be possible, right? Any YouTuber that starts pretty much has to know how to edit, unless they want to put up an investment up front to hire an editor, and that's incredibly expensive. I'm glad I have that kind of passion back and kicking. And yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, I'm just glad to be doing what I'm doing.
Let's move into our next section, which is cycling advice. Before this, we sent out a call to people asking them for their cycling-related questions so that you and I can answer them and give them advice.
Oh, boy.
Now, obviously, I am very qualified to give advice. What qualifies you?
I say this all the time. I still have no idea. I don't think I'm qualified to answer a lot of these
questions.
questions.
Well, on that note, let's go to the phones. We got a lot.
Oh, nice.
We are not going to get through all of these. First question.
Hey, Mitch. Really excited to see that you're starting a podcast. I work with a nonprofit in Eugene, Oregon, Twilight Operations. We put on lots of local races. We do some of the bigger races, cyclocross, but we also try to maintain the cheap, easily accessible Tuesday night races that help people do a time trial, do a hill climb, a couple nights a week. My question for you is, how, with the new group of cyclists that are coming in from COVID, could we engage with them, or what sort of stigmas have you seen successful in overcoming your people's fear of racing? You don't have to have a pointy helmet to come race a time trial. Just come and challenge yourself. And what things you've seen success with, and how we could apply that to ours and make the bike racing community a little stronger. Thank you, and look forward to hearing back.
All right, here we go. You ready for this, EJ? This is a question for you because I don't really race.
I'm going to say this. You can attest to this.
We're gonna call him and give him his advice.
Okay,
live
let's do it.
Right now.
Hello.
Hi, you called in with a question about how to get COVID cyclists interested in racing. This is Mitch, and I'm here with EJ of EJ Trains.
How's it going?
Oh, awesome. Hey, glad to hear from you guys.
Thanks for calling in. So I'm gonna say right off the bat, EJ is the right guy to answer this because I've done one race in my career, and also I am one of those COVID cyclists. Can you give us a little more detail on your question? You run like a weekly series. It sounds like there's hill climbs, there's races. What kind of things are you looking to promote?
So we run kind of a whole season of races in the Eugene, Lane County area in Oregon. Twilight Operations. Essentially, our goal is to kind of bring down barriers to racing, just let people have a fun space to come ride their bike, whether it's introductory, whether it's a tune-up. We put on a road race. That was the Oregon State Championship last year. And we're trying our best to keep road racing alive, but prices are going up for managing the races, and we don't necessarily want to put that on people. We're trying our best to get to people, but it just seems like there's a stigma around racing. Like, oh, I don't race my bike, I just ride my bike. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, just show up and put on a number and have fun. But it's just, I'm curious what you guys have seen that makes it easier for people.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and answer here. This is EJ here, by the way. And what was your name?
My name's Kyle.
Kyle.
Hey, Kyle.
Thank you so much for calling in. I would say for me, again, I'm a little bit new to riding and racing as well. One of those COVID cyclists that you mentioned earlier. But I think having like Twilight's Tuesday nights, amazing. I have one local to where I am in NorCal. I absolutely love it. Mm-hmm. But I think having a group ride aspect is also a good way to start. If you're able to do like a Saturday group ride under the same organization that's free, that has certain segments that are quote unquote on where you're racing, and then certain segments that are quote unquote off where you regroup. And that aspect of it was huge for me getting into cycling, right? That was the very first thing that I did that got me into that race mode was, okay, on those on segments, I'm going to go out and smash, etc. And then, we're going to regroup if I do get dropped, and that feels a little bit more inclusive. And then after the ride, you go have a pace you together and everyone's friendly. And then I think using that to promote the business or the nonprofit that you're running is a great way to get people in the door, where it's like, oh, you're making friends at the group ride, and Tommy, we'll go quote unquote, Tommy is like, hey, come out to the Tuesday night race. It's really fun. And you're like, oh, okay, I did the group ride, it was pretty fun. Maybe I will try that race. And then that group ride and that barrier to entry, is free, right? Mm-hmm. All you have to pay for is your coffee or croissant at the end of the ride. But besides that, it's free. And I think that really helps people get in the door and then kind of understands that, oh, racing isn't actually that scary. And for me, pack dynamics and all that I learned in group rides before I even tried to touch a race, and then that'll take you into those Tuesday twilights that are just, so fun and fast, and then that'll take you to the next level, and then before you know it, you're addicted to racing.
I got into cycling in my mid-30s. I'm 37 now. I am afraid of breaking my collarbone, to be completely frank. And I'm afraid of starting out with a bunch of new racers who don't know about pack dynamics, who don't know how to hold a wheel, and I'm afraid of crashing and hurting myself, and then I just can't ride my bike for a long time. I think one of the things that has kept me from racing has been like that safety concern.
Yeah.
I like what EJ said there about hosting group rides, maybe time segments. If you can communicate that the race that you're doing is safe for whatever reason for new cyclists to try, whether it's, this isn't a crit, this is like more of a hill climb, or it's a time segment or a TT. I think there's a whole category of racing that doesn't require somebody to feel completely confident riding a pack, because that's a really scary thing when you're first starting out. And if you've started cycling in COVID and you started cycling by yourself, you may not even be riding with other people yet. You may still just be riding solo, and that's a big jump to go from riding solo to jumping into a race.
Definitely. And then to fill out your question, to get people to your events, also be it a group ride, etc., an email list is great to build out. As old school as it may seem, we have one for our local Saturday group ride, and it's really helpful to just get that email to remind you that's going on. And then 2, social media is going to be one of your best friends. If you want to go ahead and DM me on social media, EJ_trains on Instagram, I'm going to be in the Oregon area, and I'm more than happy to come out to one of your events and help out and try to get you guys on the map if that would help out. So just let me know.
That sounds fantastic. Be happy to hit you guys up. I do want to put out, if anyone, our end of season cyclocross is on December 7th and 8th, Oak Hill Cyclocross. And then, you can find us on Twilight Operations if anyone wants to come ride their bike and have some fun in the mud.
Awesome. Thanks so much for calling in, Kyle.
Thanks, guys.
All right, call number 1.
Woo!
All right.
We did it. First one done.
First one done. Let's see what else we got here.
How has cycling affected your life and like the goods and bads that have come from it? And
All right, here we go.
Hello?
Hi, you called in asking how cycling has affected our lives, good and bad. This is Mitch, and I'm here with EJ of EJ Trains.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. What's your name?
My name is Ben.
Ben, nice to meet you. What prompted this question?
Oh, I just wanted to EJ. I know him personally, and I wanted to know, and I wanted to know how it affected his life, and what's come of it, and the goods and bads, and kind of the story behind that.
All right, cool. EJ, what are the good and bad of what cycling's done for you?
Well, first of all, what's up, Ben? How's it going?
Yo, what's up?
Second of all, man, there is the goods and bads of cycling. There's the good of being fit, being outside. Absolutely amazing, right? I really wouldn't trade that for the world. I think the downside, which is kind of the part that we just touched on with the other caller that we just had, knock on wood, the injury and the risk is sometimes a little bit scary for cycling, especially going into a race like a crit where you're going 35, 40 miles an hour, banging bars with dudes left and right. And I think there is also in cycling, especially, with us making content, there's a little bit of pressure to perform, which can be a little bit scary. But besides that, none of those bads outweigh the pros of being outside on your bike with your friends, racing, smashing hill segments, smashing Strava segments, etc. It's honestly just so much fun at the end of the day.
Yeah. How about you, Ben? What's your favorite part about riding a bike?
For me personally, I think it's just the scenery and going out and seeing all the stuff and having the nice views and just exercising and being fit. Just being able to, improve myself. I think, that's my kind of goals for cycling.
That's awesome. Yeah, I totally relate with that. Cycling has sent me so many cool places that I never would have gone without it, and I would have just stayed home on my couch and watched YouTube. So now instead I go places and then I go home and stay on my couch and watch YouTube. Well, thanks for calling in, Ben. We're going to go to some other callers, but really appreciate your call and your question. Hope you have a good day, man.
Hey, thank you guys.
Bye, Ben.
Bye. Next question.
Hi, my name is Willer. I have actually a couple questions. First one was, what was your estimate FTP the first year of cycling? And your average speed. And second question would be, what point you decided to compete the first time? How long were you cycling before you make that decision, and why?
Let's give him a call back. I'm going to let you take the lead on this one, EJ. He's your boy.
Okay.
The suspense.
Is he going to answer?
That's
Hello, Chef Will. How's it going? This is EJ with the one and only Mitch Boyer here. You're live on the podcast.
Hey, Chef Will.
Awesome.
So we are going to go ahead and answer your question. The first question that you had for us was, what was our FTP and average speed in the first year of cycling? Now, why don't you go ahead and share your numbers with us first, Will?
An FTP around 200 and average speed of 21 miles per hour, 21 miles per hour.
That's fast.
Yeah, that is fast. Now, Mitch, I'll let you go ahead and answer second here.
All right. Well, my first FTP test, I had an FTP of 234 watts. But I'm a little heavier like EJ, so my average speed was not. My average speed. I don't know how much elevation you have where you're riding, but where I ride, I probably get like an hour long ride. It's like 1,500 to 2,000 feet of elevation, and I'm right around 18 miles an hour most of the time on my rides. So you already got me beat, man.
Yeah, Chef Will flies on the bike, that's for sure. He gets into the aero position, everything, and he just likes to smash. I mean, when I very first started, 192 watts, I think, was my first ever test.
That was the only time I was ever ahead of EJ.
And it won't be the last.
It will be the last.
We'll see. We'll see. You never know. And then I think by the end of my first year, I did get up to 384. I want to say was my last FTP test. And that's doing a 20-minute test and taking 95% of that 20-minute number. And then that was the 384 watt number. My best ever hour power in my first year, I want to say, was lower than that. I think it was like 371 for an hour.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. My first year best ever hour power, I think, was like 260 watts. So
have you ever gone for like an hour though?
Yeah, I did like a race up Alpe d'Huez with my dog on my back, and that was
okay. But
yeah. This is the difference between EJ and I. EJ does like races, and then I put my dog on my back and ride my bike.
But it is good content. Have you gone for an hour, a full hour power yet, Chef Will?
Yes. And I mean, it's not the same as you guys because I don't have power meters out there. You know, the only FTP calculation I guess on the Swift. I know that it's way different. It could even be like 50 to 40 watt difference in between doing it in the trainer and doing it outside. So that's my calculation. And the trainer is 182, you know? But I'm calculating at least another 20 out there, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And an hour on the trainer is horrible. Like, it is just a miserable experience.
Yeah. For you guys that are watching, Chef Will, again, he's one of my buddies. He does he can do like the 3-hour trainer rides where he's just out there grinding out intervals, which I wish I could do. And shout out to everyone out there that can do that.
Shout out to people who are doing it right now.
Yeah, but I am not one of those people. I can sit on the trainer for maybe about an hour. Even an hour is pushing it max. So kudos to all you guys that can get your trainer rides in and get it done. But yeah, Chef Will, I think we'll move on to the next caller. But thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate your time. And yeah, be sure to watch this live. I'll send you the link.
Great meeting you, man.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye. All right, Chef Will.
Shout out to Sushi by Scratch for all you guys that are watching it. Chef Will is the head chef there and does an amazing job.
on to the next caller. We don't have Sushi here today, though.
How do we feel about Aero socks on the training ride?
Yes.
Is it try hard or do you subscribe to look fast, go fast?
Oh, this is a good question. This is
Let
the
me know
question.
what you think.
This is what I've been looking for. All right. Here we go. Oh, man, you got to answer.
Your
Yes.
call has been forwarded to voicemail.
We'll go back to those if we still have time.
Mitch, this is Cole. I'm on the trainer right now.
On the trainer, of course.
It really sucks
It does.
trying to stay motivated during off season. It's kind of hard with work,
Yep.
the weather, and Call of Duty. Just trying to figure out how to stay motivated, how to prepare for next race season, and just stay on that grind.
All right, let's call him. I know exactly what I'm going to tell Cole. For those of you who don't know, Cole was in our Steepest Streets San Francisco video. He's very strong, very fast. Is this Cole?
Oh,
Cole, we got your question. You're trying to figure out how to stay fast, stay motivated in the off season. I've got your answer, don't, so that I can actually keep up with you next time we ride. Thank you for calling. Oh, man. Are you done with your trainer session?
I'm just about finishing up. I'm just doing an hour and a half because that's all I can endure right now.
Yeah, man. Miserable. We were literally just talking on the last call about how horrible riding on the trainer is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think tomorrow morning I'll get outside though, just wear some warm stuff, but it's getting kind of cold.
So we're going to, we'll talk afterwards or later, but we're going to keep it tight for the audience. EJ, what's your recommendation for keeping the trainer interesting?
Watch all of Mitch Boyer's videos on YouTube.
I'll pay you that $20 later.
Which is a good plug. But honestly, for me, the trainer's terribly hard, no matter what. I'm very blessed. We're all very blessed to live in California, where we don't have to ride the trainer a ton. Some people in the Midwest who are riding back east or all over the world that much worse weather than we do. I really, really feel for you. Some tricks and stuff that I've learned along the way. Shout out to my coach, Coach Tyler. When he writes in my training workout, say I need to get 3 hours in that day to be productive. Splitting it up into even 3 rides an hour or 2 rides at an hour and a half with different intervals during those rides, etc. For me was a lot easier of a pill to swallow. Watching something helps, but yeah, also at the end of the day, you kind of just got to grind it out. But I always do one session in the morning, one session at night, and usually for a work day that you can also work around that. So
my advice jumping on there is I don't have any. No, I never spend more than like an hour on the trainer just because I can't. I have done like super long rides. When I'm on Zwift, I play this game with myself where I keep my power the same and then I try to still pass people while I'm doing zone 2 power. And it really feeds my ego. But, then you get passed a lot by other people. So it keeps you in check a lot, which is it is what it is. The other thing I've done before in the past, which you may or may not want to do, is I put my dog on my back. I ride up the Zwift just because. And then a lot of people ask you, why did you do that? So your results may vary. But that is the worthless advice that I've given you.
Any advice is good advice.
There you go. Dog on your back. That's it. Well, it's good talking with you, Cole. Looking forward to riding with you again. Remember, don't ride anymore from now until maybe January or February. That's the best training plan. Thanks for calling in.
I'll keep it slow.
All right. See you,
have a good one, Cole.
Bye. All right. Let's try the Aero Socks one again. Aero Socks on the group ride. I love it.
What's up?
Hey, you called about Aero Socks on the group ride. I'm Mitch, and I'm with EJ of EJ Trains. We've got an answer for you, and the answer is, EJ.
Oh, gosh. You're really putting me on the spot here. First of all, how's it going? What's your name?
Frank. I'm out of DC.
Nice to meet you, Frank.
And your exact question was, how do we feel about Aero Socks on a group ride or a training ride?
It doesn't matter. A group ride, I guess. Do you show up, you look like a hardo, or do people be like, dang, this guy's fast?
Nice.
I buy into wear whatever you want, whatever makes you comfortable. There's so many nuances in cycling where it's like, okay, you got to have your leg warmers if it's that time of year over, your socks, etc. The only thing that I do buy into is make sure you put your glasses over over your straps. I'm gonna say that on record. But if you want to wear Aero socks on your training ride or group ride, if it makes you feel faster, I say go for it. Frankie, do you wear your Aero socks on your training rides?
Dude, if it's a go fast day, I'm putting them on. Like I said in the call, I subscribe to look fast, like go fast. You know, it gets me in the mood.
Yeah, I subscribe to the first half of that. Now, look, man, I don't race. And so if I didn't wear Aero socks on my group rides and my training rides and my normal, I would just never wear Aero socks. But I have Aero socks and they need to be worn. So those PRs are not going to get, they're not going to get hit without them now. So it's like a war of attrition. Once you use them, you're stuck with it.
And I do subscribe to what Frankie said as well. Look fast, feel fast, ride fast, train fast. I mean, I wear my Aero socks all the time on training rides. I'm here for it. I will put that on the record. I love doing it, especially on a day where you got to go do intervals and bust something out. It's going to be a little bit harder than.
Let's go. I did it today, so I feel valid.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what? Well,
you didn't even need our advice. You already knew. Deep in your cycling heart, you knew what the answer was.
I was just looking for validation.
Oh, you got it. You got it today. Thanks for calling in. That was the best question of the day.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye. Besides Aero socks, what's your favorite piece of like non-essential kit for like a training ride?
I mean, I keep it pretty basic when it's warm out. I usually, I tend to try not to wear my skin suit unless it's laundry day, unless it's like race day or if I'm really going for a KOM or something like that. But I'm pretty standard.
Do you do like training wheels and racing wheels?
Oh man,
that's like a whole. I feel like that's like in the line of like the Aero socks question. There's like this old school thing of like you have your training wheels and your Aero wheels, but I think that was because it was like rim brakes and you were eating into the rim. Yeah. Whereas like you would want to save your race.
We just got into this today. So I went on a ride with the Bros Ride Bikes kids. Shout out their juniors in the area. They do the race wheel, training wheel thing. I think it's great to have two sets of wheels, especially having a very dense alloy aluminum set that you can trash. Makes it a little bit easier to, is going to touch on what we touched on earlier. If you don't want to Zwift going out and it's not snowing and riding in the rain and it's somewhat manageable, having a part of your bike like those wheels that you can trash a little bit more is pretty nice. Personally, I have, this is going to sound so bougie. I don't know if I want to say this on air, but I have two sets of carbon wheels.
Yeah, of course.
One that I train on, one that I race on. I personally just very, very blessed. So lucky. Never got a set of aluminum wheels with any of the bikes that I received. So, even my very first bike that I paid for came with carbon wheels. So I don't have an aluminum set. I have a crappier, more durable carbon gravel wheel that I ride on, the older reserve wheels that are very, very durable and they're able to take a trashing and a beating. I've had no problems with them, knock on woods, and then I have my race wheels.
Wait, so you've never had like anything other than carbon wheels? You never made that jump from like the stock wheel set onto a carbon wheel set?
No.
Wow. I went from the stock wheel set to a carbon wheel set and like nice tires all in one jump, and that jump is the biggest jump I ever experienced.
So I started on the bougie end. My very first bike, again, I made a video about this. I paid for off the Pros Closet, may it rest in peace.
They're back. They're back.
They are back.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out. Okay, welcome back, Pros Closet. But
it's a whole thing.
I bought it off there, paid full price, way overpaid for it because I bought it during COVID. It was a giant TCR with mechanical 105, giant TCR 2021, I believe, with mechanical 105 on it. And it had these carbon wheels on it called ICANN wheels. They're $499 retail. Long story short, they're not the nicest carbon wheels out there.
Okay. Now you're just making up excuses.
Hold on. I think I had 4 or 5 spokes break within the first 2 weeks of me having that bike. And that was kind of like my initial introduction to biking. And I was like, oh, does this happen all the time, or am I just, like, what's going on? And I was heavier at the time for sure when I started, so that probably didn't help the pressure on those wheels. But after that, yeah, I've been pretty spoiled, I must say, with bikes and bike choices, and again, very, very lucky to be where I am and get hooked up with components and stuff.
Well, it's time for our rapid fire round. We're at the end. I know you got to go.
Oh, no worries.
We're going to take the Pomodoro timer.
Oh, boy.
We're going to do 2 minutes, and you got to answer 5 of the most divisive cycling questions that there are in the community.
Okay. Hit me.
I hope you're ready.
I'll do my absolute best. This is going to be fun. It's like doing an interval. Pretty tough one at that.
The timer has started. First question. Rim brakes or disc brakes?
Disc brakes.
Why?
I thought you were going to ask why. For me, it's the stopping power, especially in the wet. I'm just a little bit more confident on disc brakes. Also, I've never really ridden rim brakes.
Okay, there's the real answer. Next thing. Inner tubes or tubeless tires?
Tubeless tires.
Why?
For me, it's because if you do have like a slow leak flat, 1, it'll seal, and then 2, I usually carry a tube. I run tubeless. If it does end up completely puncturing, you do have that backup option, even if it may be a little bit messy to put a tube in. So I don't see the argument of tubes.
What's the worst flat you ever got?
Oh, man. The worst flat I ever got, knock on wood, it hasn't been too gnarly yet, but I have definitely gotten a nail completely through the tire that has ripped the tire pretty much to shreds, and had to call wife Alyssa to pick me up 50 miles away from the house.
The call of shame. Carbon or alloy? You already know this. You never had an alloy bike. You don't even know what it feels like.
Next question. I'm not going to answer it.
Aero or lightweight?
Aero.
Why?
I mean, I'm a bigger rider, bigger racer. Lightweight doesn't do crap for me. I just
if you could be lighter, if you live in a magical world where you could either be a super lightweight climber, or you could be you with extra power. Oh, and that's it. We're out of time. And on that, no, I want to hear what's the.
If I could be lightweight, I definitely would love to be a climber. I love doing longer efforts. That's why I love doing time trial stuff that's flat, where it's, exceeding that 20-minute power effort. If I could be a climber, I would, but physiologically, I will never be that. And I think dreaming of something that is unobtainable, especially physiologically, is not quite ideal. So I've come to be like, okay, time trials are super sick, and just learning how to be a sprinter.
I think that's healthy. So much of cycling is kind of figuring out who you are.
Exactly.
And like where your strengths are, and actually leaning into that. Whereas in a lot of other areas of life, you can be like, oh, you can just like learn, just try harder and you can get there. But with cycling, you literally can't. You have limitations.
And I think accepting that is a big step for me, especially
this is getting deep.
When I was down at race weight last year, like 175 pounds. I did get a DEXA scan, and that was 5% body fat. I literally can't go much lower than that.
5% body fat?
Yes. And that's like watching all my food intake. I was very meticulous about it. I more comfortably race around 175 to 180, right?
Yeah.
175 is like on the low end. Physiologically, with the muscle that I have right now, the residual muscle from doing sports outside of cycling, lifting, etc.
Yeah, oh, I'm so strong.
I don't know, but no. But what I'm getting at is it would not be incredibly healthy for me to get much lower than that. Training and building and doing more power and being able to feel that training, in the long run, you're going to find more success than trying to cut, not eat, bonking on rides, doing all that fastest stuff it's not healthy.
So you heard it here. Eat your pasta.
Yeah.
Don't bonk.
EJ,
thank you for coming in.
Yeah, dude.
Really appreciate it. Guest number 1 on the podcast, and hopefully we'll have you again here soon.
Well, thank you so much. I hope to be back for another episode. I hope you stick with this, and this is awesome. Thank you so much for having me on, and I'll see you guys next time.
All right.
Peace.
Very YouTube ending. Very good. Thanks for watching to the end of the podcast. So this is episode 1, and since it's the beginning of a new series, a new podcast, it's really important to get some feedback. So if there are any things you particularly liked in this episode, please let me know. And if there are any guests that you want me to have on to answer your cycling questions, please also drop those in the comments. Oh, and if you're a regular subscriber, don't worry. My normal videos are going to be resuming again soon. This is going to be in addition to the videos that I put out every month or so.